We are very, very convinced of what we are doing. It is by no means a stunt. We have thought this out. We have prayed this through. We believe that this type of message is right now very, very necessary in America before it's too late.
Welcome back to Harville, Florida. Pastor Terry Jones says, as you just saw, he will follow through with his plan to burn Korans on the anniversary of 9/11. Wayne Sapp is also a pastor with Terry Jones at the Dove World Outreach Center. Pastor Sapp, are you armed at this point?
Yes, sir, I am.
Why are you armed?
Well, it's better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not be prepared.
Well, fair enough. If you think you face firepower coming at you, what do you think is going to happen to the American soldiers after this picture of the burning of the Koran goes worldwide?
Well,
should they all be armed and ready? Should they be armed?
Respond. I believe they're prepared to respond in the way they're prepared to respond right now. They know they're facing a radical element of Islam. That's why they're there.
Do you think that the missionaries and the other civilians around the world who are in Muslim communities right now should be armed as you are?
Dude, if able, yeah. If they feel like they need to be, sure.
So you're creating a situation in which missionaries have to arm themselves to respond to what could be the response to what you're doing. In other words, you're creating a round of activity here that could threaten the lives of our own religious people around the world. And I'm dead serious about that. They're very exposed around the world, missionaries.
No, sir, I've not created anything. What we're doing is exposing what's already there.
Well, then why are you wearing a gun?
There is a radical element of Islam.
Right.
What we're doing here is we're exposing an element of Islam that is known to everybody. The missionaries, the soldiers that are in these areas where Islam is dominant.
Okay.
They know the element they're dealing with, and yet they go there anyway. So we're not putting them in any situation they don't already are not already aware.
Well, there's something illogical. Let me ask you this:
that is much greater than what we think it is now.
Why are you usually wearing a gun, or only since your colleague Pastor Jones has made this commitment to burn the Koran? When did you start wearing a gun?
Approximately 3-4 weeks ago.
And why did you start wearing the gun?
Due to death threats against myself and my family.
Because of what?
Because we're willing to stand up for what we believe.
Okay. Let me show you this piece from General Petraeus, David Petraeus. He's over there in Afghanistan, as you know. Let's listen to him, and I want you to react to whatever you hear. Thanks.
We're concerned that the images from the burning of a Quran would be used in the same way that extremists used images from Abu Ghraib, that they would, in a sense, be indelible. They would be in cyberspace forever. They'd be non-biodegradable, and they would be used by those who wish us ill to incite violence and to inflame public opinion against us and against our mission here in Afghanistan, as well as our missions undoubtedly around the world.
Pastor Sapp, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I believe we are also concerned. But if they would use this, what we're doing today, to recruit and to act against American troops, what will they use tomorrow? They're always going to find something they don't agree with, that they don't like, that is against what they believe. They believe in dominance of the world. That's what they believe. That is the radical element of Islam. And they are never, unless it completely agrees with their message and their wants and demands, then they will come against it.
I just want to ask you,
today it's us. What will it be tomorrow? What will it be in 10 years from now?
I was in Egypt last year, and I was lucky to get over there, and I remember walking around the neighborhoods of Cairo, which are rather peaceful, obviously, and there are people, you know, in cafes having dinner, smoking a pipe or playing cards or whatever. And I just want to ask you, when you sit around in a cafe like that, regular peaceful Muslim people, and they look up at the television screen and they see an American pastor, a man of God, of the cloth, burning their religious book. These are peaceful people. What do you think their reaction will be?
Well, if they don't agree with it, they could pray for us. We're not commanding that everybody has to agree with us. What we're saying is that the radical element of Islam is going to react the way the radical element of Islam reacts. Violently, they're going to demonstrate, they're going to come out. If you're not, then I mean, if someone was burning the Bible, we would not threaten to kill the president. We would not storm embassies. We would not have marches against embassies. We would not threaten to bomb buildings. We would pray for them. We would have mercy on them. Maybe we would even pity them, but we wouldn't threaten lives with something we disagree with.
Okay, thank you for coming on, Pastor Wayne Sapp from down there in Florida. The Reverend Dr. Welton Gaddy is president of the Interfaith Alliance. Reverend, I don't know how to continue that conversation because it seems like a reasonable question. What would a reasonable Islamic person? There's 1 billion Islamic people in the world. I always go back to this. I want you to jump on this. The war we're fighting with terrorism is really about recruitment. You can't do much against a guy or a woman who's already a terrorist, already to strap the bombs on. You can't stop them. They're going to do it, and we're going to have to deal with that horror when it occurs. You can't apprehend them in the act because it's all done sneakily. But you can stop a young person in their 20s from losing hope in their own lives to the point where they become suicidal.
Right.
Your thoughts?
Chris, I need to tell you, first of all, I'm not armed. I don't feel like
I didn't think you were, sir.
You know, you're trying to deal reasonably with a mindset that is totally antithetical to reason. In the mind of an extremist, a fundamentalist, criticism feeds ego and strength. And it has been pointed out that a real extremist narrows everything down to eventually having even God in a box. And so when he says pray, he's talking about praying to himself, basically, because he's creating his own image of God. My experience is the same as yours with people in the Muslim world. I was in Egypt earlier this year for a conference, and there are peace-loving people. Anytime that you try to judge a religion by someone who says they hold that religion but acts in a way that is contrary to that religion, you might ought to decide that person's not all that religious. And that happens in the United States, it happens in Cairo, it happens all over the world. What I would hope is, I don't think there's anything we can do about this guy. I really don't. I think what we have to do is we have to get the message out. This is not about American patriotism. It is not about Christianity. It is not about religion. It is about hatred and divisiveness, and a person who, while saying that Muslims want to control the world, he wants to control the world.
Let's watch together Secretary of State Hillary Clinton today on this matter and see what you think. Let's listen.
We are, as you've seen in the last few days, speaking out. General Petraeus made the very powerful point that as seemingly, small a group of people doing this, the fact is that it will have potentially great harm for our troops. So we are hoping that the pastor decides not to do this. We're hoping against hope that if he does, it won't be covered. As an act of patriotism.
Well, there's a word, and I think appropriately used there by the Secretary of State. What do you think?
No, I agree. That's why I said earlier that it's not patriotic. Chris, I had an opportunity yesterday to do an interview with television, an international television network that goes all over the Middle East. And what I said to them was what I want to say to Americans as well. To confuse what this guy is doing with patriotism or with religion would be the worst possible scenario. This is not what America's about. You talked about America a while ago and the spirit that comes when we talk about the nation. We're talking about inclusion. We're talking about people who are peace-loving people. That's not what this guy is about. I'm sorry that he's getting the attention he's getting, but we have to take it seriously, and we have to set it in a context that lets the world know he doesn't represent us. He represents some fringe that is neither a patriotic American nor a very authentic religious person.
Well, Reverend, you know who's rooting for him? Some guy with a long beard in a cave, probably in the northwestern frontier region of Pakistan, named Bin Laden, who can't wait for this to happen, because this makes the point he wants, which is an East-West war.
But you know what, Chris? The best thing we can do to counter that is to see to it that the politicians in our nation quit playing with religion and quit playing with these kinds of situations with Islam to divide the nation just in order for them to get elected. That's not patriotic either. If we want to show that guy with a beard what we are, let's show getting together in a common cause to make this world a community in which everybody is safe to practice their religion.
I wish I was in your religion, sir. You were in mine. You're a great guy. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I don't really mean that. I'm glad to be what I am, but thank you for coming on. You seem like a great man of God. Reverend Welton Gaddy.